So, a lot of Americans are worried about the state that America is in this day and age. So, let's find out what they're really dealing with and what they have to say about this.
Growing up, the idea of living in a third world country seemed so far off. It seemed like something you would watch in a documentary or something that you'd read about. Now it just feels closer than ever because you go out into the cities and you see streets lined with tents. You see more and more people living in cars. You see people that can't afford food anymore.
This is what our shitty ass healthcare has come to. Where my patients need medicine and supplies and their insurance won't cover it, and here I am spending my own money because my patient needs it, and he doesn't have any money and he can't work. And the insurance won't even cover what he needs. And I'm sad and I'm sick and tired of it.
I'm about to be homeless.
That is so sad. And it breaks my heart for any people who are going through that. And I don't know how it got to that stage. In the Netherlands, it's definitely different. I'm from the Netherlands, if you didn't know. Because we have more of a social safety net and we have more affordable healthcare. In fact, you're obligated to have health insurance, and if you have a lower income and might struggle to afford it, then you'll get some sum of money from the government to pay this off. It might not cover the whole cost of your insurance, but most of it will be covered. So to see that people are going through this in America is just honestly heartbreaking, and you don't wish that for anyone.
In like 2 days. I don't want your pity, or I don't want you to feel bad for me. But what I would like is for anyone to know what it's like to live in your car, and maybe some essentials that I can pick up that's going to be super helpful. I already have like a little porta potty situation, but I'm thinking of like, I don't know, maybe some electrical things that I'll need for like charging stuff. I mean, I have car chargers, but like I really don't want to have my car like on the whole time while I'm doing it. I think my car charges while it's off. Any essentials that you think I might need, anything that will be helpful, even any places that I can go and like park to be safe. I am in California, so if you know the area, specifically Bay Area, that would be helpful. I'm gonna get a gym membership so I can shower and all that stuff. Any places not to go, any don'ts that you can offer, let me know. But I'm a woman, so I just want to feel safe. I want to feel comfortable. Obviously, I'm outside, so. But like, and I was already thinking about getting some like window covers so that way people can't see in at night. But yeah, I'm in California. If you have any tips, please leave them in the comments.
I'm in America.
Yeah, my boyfriend and I actually kind of lived in a van car for about 3 weeks when we were in America last. We were there visiting for his sister's wedding, and we just went 3 months so that we could spend time with his family because he is American, he's from there. So that we could have more time with them. So, but then we decided to do like a tour around the US and do it in a van. So we kind of lived in a car or a van for 3 weeks. So I do know what that's like, but I can also understand that it might be a little bit different because we knew we weren't permanently living in it. We were just taking a tour. And so we were sleeping in the car, but we knew it was for 3 weeks and not for, indefinitely. So I know that is a difference. But for anyone who might be in a similar situation as her, who might be watching, I don't know if there's anyone who's watching that is. If there's just one person, then I want to recommend window covers. Get them so that you can cover the whole area. And we also had curtains because we couldn't really have a window cover in the front. So we decided to do a curtain so that it separated the front area from where we were sleeping in the back. So that's one thing that you definitely want to do. Also, to have we had this, I don't know what it's called, but a device that you can charge while you're driving, and then you can charge everything with the power that you've built while driving. I guess it's like kind of like a big battery, so that you can charge things overnight when you're sleeping with that battery. That's really useful. Also, like she said, get a gym membership, and you can sleep in America. You can sleep at the parking lots of the gym memberships, generally speaking, if it's safe. And, well, sometimes not, I think not legally, but, it is one of the best places, I think, to sleep in your car. And then you want to kind of rotate between places. So I wouldn't recommend sleeping at the same place every night, but rotate so that it's more inconspicuous and people wouldn't necessarily notice that you are sleeping in your car. So those are some tips for anyone who might be moving into their car.
I pay $1,600 for a flat that has no bedroom. That's 2/3 of my income. I'm an American. I work.
That has no bedroom. 1,600. That's crazy. I wonder where she's from in the
50 hours a week.
United States.
I don't have health insurance. I'm an American. I couldn't afford to have a child even if I wanted to. I'm $7,000 in debt. I'm an American. My health is declining because I can't afford Whole Foods because that's too expensive for my life. I am very overqualified for my job, but no one else is hiring. I'm an American. I make my boss hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, while I can barely keep myself alive. I'm an American. I have never been out of the States. I have never been on a vacation. I'm an American. I make $20-some an hour. A livable wage here is like 30-some. Yet I don't qualify for government assistance whatsoever. On the days I don't work, I'm so tired I just sleep all day. I'm an American. My electric bill is so expensive I sit outside in the heat because I can't afford to turn the AC on in the damn house. I'm an American, and I fear I'm just an average American. I'm living the American dream. The extraordinarily...
Yeah, I mean, what do you even say to that? Like, that's their reality. And that feels so, I can kind of feel a little bit of just what that feels like, but of course they're actually living it. I kind of relate to the part where you can't turn on the AC or anything like that. We, growing up, didn't actually have that much money. Of course, not like this, because we live in the Netherlands and we have more support available to make things more affordable for us. Or, when I was a child. So we did have health insurance and things like that, because that's just, I guess, kind of the privilege that we have in the Netherlands. But yeah, we didn't have that much money, and I do relate to being anxious when you turn on the light, or my mom would always be on us for turning off the lights and not really using the fan that much when it was like 28 degrees Celsius in the house and things like that. So I know a little bit of what it feels like, but of course not to her extent, and I just don't want that. I just don't want to see it. Like, I just don't want, what I mean with that is I don't want people to have to experience that. Yeah.
Wealthy in this country, I don't think I've ever experienced being at a counter at the grocery store trying to figure out, can the $40 I have left in my checking account until Friday get me this gallon of milk for my kid, fill my gas tank to get to work, and give my kid lunch money, because you don't want them to feel the pain, and get the gallon of milk and the bread and the deli meat. Can it do all of that? Because the $40 really can't. And you as the parent know that. And yet, a lot of these people will think you're lazy. Well, just work harder. And these people are already maxed out. They already have a master's degree. They have more education than those other people who say, well, just work harder.
You know, y'all, I just saw something.
Yeah. It's just heartbreaking.
That touched my heart. I just saw a mom hooked up to a machine who states that she is giving her plasma in exchange for money to be able to afford her children's school clothes and supplies. A mom is giving plasma. This is what's happening in the USA. And I just want to say, as a former single mom myself, who was once a homeless single mom, I know how hard single moms work to provide for their children. I am absolutely praying for single moms out there. But I also want to add this. There are a lot of single moms who are finding that it is better to move abroad as it relates to affordability. There are many countries out there where you can go and you will find that the cost of living is a lot less than America.
I was thinking about this.
Yeah, being a single mom is hard. I don't have experience with that because I'm 24 and I don't have children. But I know from seeing my mom do it, because she's a single mom. I know from watching her do it throughout the years. And of course, when you're so little, you don't even know what all goes into that. But as you get older and you grow up, especially once you start becoming an adult yourself, you'll really think back and think of all the things that she had to do and just single moms have to deal with, and raising a child mostly on their own. Now, she did get support from my father, of course, but it's hard. I guess even harder in America.
We're the richest country on the planet, one of the richest countries. Why does it look like ass? Like, really think about that for a second. Like, when you're driving, if you're not in like Florida or California or the coast of like Oregon or whatever, it's like, this place looks like shit. And we have so much money. Like, I'm thinking of like Europe and Japan and all the architecture like across the world and how beautiful it looks. Why don't we have like rose gold buildings, and like, why does the Kmart's and like all of the stores look like shit? Like, I don't know. I'm just thinking in my head, I'm closing my eyes and I can imagine like what a country, like, look at China. Like Shanghai, like the coast, like all those videos you see, that's like no joke, stunning, beautiful, high tech. You would think America would look like that with the amount of money that we have, but it just looks like, ugh, you know what I mean?
You want us to do something disgusting.
Unfortunately, I do know what she means, and I also don't understand why it doesn't seem to be improving in the United States. Everything looks gray and just not up to the standards that we have in the US. In Europe, I mean, especially in the Netherlands with the great infrastructure that we have. You would expect that the US is somewhere up there, but it's honestly not. And you think to yourself, what really happens with the tax money that people pay? What improvements are being done? But
I just did a little bit of grocery shopping. Let me look, hang on. $106.70 for that.
for that, $106.70. I don't know if he got some expensive things, but it doesn't look like it. I see pizza, I think, something like that, milk, chips, maybe some chicken breast or whatever meat that is. No, that's crazy. 106.
I remember when I used to pay $60 for a bag. That's crazy.
I don't know about you, but I miss being like regular sad about the world and not like catastrophically horrified every day by the world. Just me?
You just don't want to admit it, but van life equals housing crisis. This isn't a vibe, and this is not freedom. This is what happens when housing collapses and survival becomes illegal. Millions of us are being pushed to live into vehicles just to survive. And cities are treating us like shit. And for most of us, van life is the last resort. And we're being hunted for it.
So I see a whole bunch of people, I don't know if they're real or not, that's why I'm not going to pull the comments, talking about becoming homeless or houseless, however you want to identify it as, and how they're going to choose hospital parking lots because it's safer. And I just want to put this into perspective as a woman in her 50s who lives in an off-road vehicle. You need to throw this ideology of I need to stay safe out the window, because there is absolutely nothing safe about living in a vehicle ever. First of all, the weather. It's about to be over 100 degrees, which means it's going to be probably about 110 in your vehicle. And since most homeless people have a problem with detachment, you're probably hoarding as much stuff as you can from your old life in that vehicle, giving you even less space to live and to breathe. So that is probably the last thing you need to worry about, is where can I sleep that's safe? You need to worry about your health. You need to worry about how are you going to stay hydrated, how are you going to exercise, and how are you going to give yourself the quality of life you deserve? Because just because you're living in your car does not mean you don't deserve things. And if I can tell you one thing you need to master, it is going to be the art of detachment and get rid of all that shit in your car. You don't need it. It doesn't serve you. You're holding on to a life that no longer exists. Get rid of it. It's holding you down. It is going to be so hot. You have no idea what it is like to be homeless when it is hot. So if you want to think about safety, I highly suggest you start thinking about where you're going to live near water and with cooler temperatures. Because driving around the city you became homeless in is a trauma loop. And going from hospital parking lot to hospital parking lot, that's not safety. You're a moving target. That's what you are.
And I don't know if a lot of you are in the understanding that being homeless is pretty much a crime in almost every state. Whether it's a crime or not, you are shunned, you are looked down on, the police give you problems, and nobody likes the homeless. So when it comes to, oh, I just want to feel safe, I'm a single woman and living in my car, nobody gives a nobody gives a you are now homeless.
So this is America.
It's that people even have to think about these things. But I agree, probably one of the best things you can do is get rid of most stuff that you don't need. Because from that time that we slept in a car, you really see how hard it is if you have too many things in there, because it's a limited space. And I get that people might want to hold on to things because maybe it holds sentimental value, or you're like, well, when I get into a better position, I want to have these things still. But I guess I agree that you have to let that go in order to make your present more livable. Yeah, living in your car is no joke, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Being homeless, I didn't know it was this bad already in the US, and I know we have homelessness in the Netherlands, and of course people who are poor, but to this extent, I think this is unlike what I've seen before. And also just having been to Skid Row in LA, it makes you really, it's a really weird experience driving by there and seeing these people living in tents in such a scale, because in the Netherlands you just don't see that. It really forces you to acknowledge that, and it's a weird feeling because you want to help people, but then I personally am not in a state to really help anyone, even if I wish that I could. But it's like you're grateful for the situation you're in, even when before you see these things you might have been complaining, but then at the same time it feels weird to even feel grateful for it, because you can just step back. We can close off these videos, you can close off my video, this video, and go on with your life. But for these people, this is their life, and they have to deal with this every day, day by day. And I just hope that something changes soon for them. I don't know what that real change is going to look like or when it's going to happen, but I hope it's coming soon, because I don't wish this upon my worst enemy, honestly.